Hey everyone. Yeah, you can tell I'm in a different location. Basically, it's the living room. Um, but yeah, I'm here in the living room on a Wednesday, believe it or not, the day before New Year's Eve, and pretty much wanted to basically, since basically it's kind of in vogue, if you will, to I guess lately, since Star Wars came out, to kind of theorize about certain things of what's to come, I figured, I should theorize exactly about, I should theorize about something that I've talked about already. And what I'm talking about is, hold on for a sec. Uh, what I'm talking about is, is basically about basically about what Ian Flynn, um, about what Ian Flynn has planned, and after, I had to get some coffee there. Um, After the whole Shattered Worlds, World Crisis, Shattered Worlds, Sonic Unleashed adaptation is over. And it got me thinking, what does he have planned? He came because he came out. I listened to one of his Bumblecast, if you will, and he came out and he basically said that he plans to focus on stories of the individual characters. He plans to focus on stories of all the other characters, and I can only assume that he means characters like Bunny, Sally, Rotor, um, Antoine, if you will. Yes, and the ones that have already gotten one, like Blaze and Knuckles and all them. And it got me thinking, theorizing, kind of thinking exactly what kind of stories is he going to come up with for these characters. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that perhaps he's going to do some stories that relate back to what happened at the very beginning of this soft retcon, soft reboot, if you will. It's going to basically involve. It's basically going to involve the characters. It's basically going to evolve the characters. The characters, as a matter of fact, dealing with it. Now, you might say, well, Brian, basically, technically, they didn't really say that the characters were still dealing with it. They're just, maybe the memories have faded away, maybe the new memories have been put into place, and I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that, whatsoever. I'm just thinking, in my opinion, of what could be and what I believe, he has planned. So I'm looking at, you know, not including, the characters that already got one, like Tails has gotten one, Silver has gotten one, Knuckles has gotten one, Shadow has gotten one. I'm looking at characters that, as well as the Chaotix, they got one. I'm looking at characters that have yet to really get one. I mean, Nicole got one, but she kind of co-starred with Sally in it. But yeah, she got one as well. Yeah, she got one as well. So it makes me wonder. It makes me think of exactly what does Ian Flynn have planned next. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about it, the more I want, the more I come up with an idea storyline wise of exactly what Ian has planned. So when I look at these plans, if you will, when I look at these plans as these possible scenarios for stories that he has planned for for the characters. Hold on, what he has planned for the characters. Um, my thing is, I know this at 6 minutes and 45 seconds already, so I apologize. But these are basically my theories and opinions of what kind of stories we're going to get. So yeah, and again, this is not including those that already got stories and all of that. This is basically featuring characters that have not yet gotten one since the soft retcon or reboot. Um, Number one. So these are like maybe five characters that are probably going to get it, and not in any particular order, but I pretty much feel that this is who are going to get it right off the bat. Number one, Sally's going to get an arc. She is. She's going to get a Sonic Universe arc, not a backup story or anything like that. She's going to get a Sonic Universe arc, and I look at the fact that it's going to deal with her trying to redeem herself. Now, you might say, well, Brian, what are you talking about, redeem herself? Well, if you look back at, so, if you look back in the old timeline of after the first Genesis wave, in that rebooted world, which was basically paying homage to the first two Sonic games, the Sonic Genesis arc, if you will, towards the end, it was both her and Sonic that was starting to remember the old world, the old world. So, and then you had that little moment of hesitation, of doubt, in what was it, 257. So again, you had that moment of doubt, and to me, I look at her story arc in Sonic Universe, because basically that's what a lot of this is going to take place, and a lot of these individual character stories are going to take place in Sonic Universe, not just as side stories in the main comic, but in Sonic Universe. I look at her as being a character that's going to, in this story, is going to want to redeem herself. Now, she might have a co-star character like a Bunny or a Tails or a Nicole. And with the exception of Nicole, you'll probably have Bunny or even Tails ask her, well, why do you have to redeem herself? Well, why does she have to redeem herself? And she might, if Ian Flynn goes in this direction for a Sally solo story, or a story centered mostly on Sally, you're going to probably have Sally kind of mention, hey, don't you remember the old world? Or do you still remember the old world, the old timeline, or whatever? And, you might have one of the characters that accompany her, like either a Bunny or a Tails or whoever, kind of be like, Yeah, but it's getting very vague now. It's kind of like really, really getting vague. Like I can't really remember certain things anymore. And Sally, of course, being who she is, according to many fans, would probably be the only one, besides Sonic, maybe to still kind of retain a lot more of the old world, if you will. So I think she'll mostly be like, well, because of what she'll basically explain to them, well, because of what I did as Mecha Sally in the old world, I have to redeem myself for that. So I got to do something that's going to help me redeem myself. I got to go out and do these things so that whatever I've dealt with in the past will go in that past world will go away finally. Now, I'm not saying Ian's going to do that. I'm not saying he's going to go in that direction with Sally's solo arc if he does one for her, but that's to me probably the best option he's got. I mean, a lot of people have pretty much been saying, have been asking, even when Countdown to Chaos ended, are they going to explore this direction with her? And I think even Ian Flynn asked that question of would we like to see that? And honestly, I think a lot of us would. So I think that might be an opportunity he has to explore Sally's Sally's redemption in a sense for what she had done beforehand. Again, I think it'd be a great opportunity to explore that option right there. Now, again, I'm not saying Ian's going to go out and do that. I just think it might be the best option, one of the best story options there is. Now, now, will he do it? Will he go in that direction? I don't really know. I can't really say. But I think it's, again, one of the best options that Ian Flynn would have to do a Sally solo story with Sonic Universe. I really do. Now, the other character, of course, is Bunny Rabbit. Now, you obviously going to say, well, you can't do a Bunny Rabbit story without Sally or without Antoine, and that's true. Maybe that is true, but I think the other story that follows Sally, or somewhat is after Sally, maybe an arc or two later, or maybe the following arc, is got to be a Bunny Rabbit story. Now, you might say, well, what would that be about? And to me, I think it's obviously got to deal with her past. We kind of got hinted at in what's the name of that side story currently going on that side story she had with Cassidy, Clove, and Sally. Can't think of the name. It's kind of like Holds or Hearts or something like that. But anyway, she mentions in part two to Cassidy that she really doesn't communicate. Like there's some kind of miscommunication between her and her family. Like her family miscommunicates with her. Like her family miscommunicates with her, and she basically like there's some kind of miscommunication with her and her family. So I would think that's probably the best option Ian Flynn would have. Ian Flynn or even Aaliyah Baker. I look at Aaliyah Baker probably handling the stories with the Sonic Girls. I'm not saying she can't do Sonic stories overall. She can. She has proven that. But it seems, for some reason, she works better when it comes to the female Sonic characters because there's more character development you can get with them. Sorry, I'm trying to get my dog in. But again, like I said, there's so much from a female perspective, there's so much more character development you can get with them. And I think that's exactly who may tackle maybe these two stories if Ian doesn't. She may tackle them if he doesn't. And to me, Aaliyah would probably be the best candidate to do Bunny's story because Bunny, because I think the story that she could come up with, and maybe along with Ian's help could come up with, is basically exploring her past, her family's past, trying to maybe get her to reconnect with her family and all, try to get her to, find out more about why her family is the way they are. I'm not going to be surprised if we do find out one of her, if it's a follow up, if it's a follow up, well, not a follow up, but kind of a soft rebooted retcon follow up to uh, the original, to the previous timeline, find out exactly, maybe from a newer perspective, as to why her family is the way they are, and maybe why her certain family members joined joined Eggman as part of his egg region, if not as his egg bosses. So I do see that kind of storyline maybe for Bunny down the line, and I think it would really work well. Aaliyah Baker, I think, for Bunny's story and Sally's story is probably the best choice. I really do. Now the next character to get one would be Antoine, and again you got to give him a co-star, so probably Bunny, maybe Rotor. I'm not really sure. And to me, Antoine's would be really interesting because you'd want to find out exactly, how he came to be who he is. Basically, you find, you know, again, I think it'd be more of a exploring his past kind of deal. I'm not talking like an origins or anything. I'm talking more like something from the past comes back to kind of haunt him, and he has to deal with it. So I'm thinking more of that kind of a story might work with Antoine. And I think if he was to do a Sonic Universe story centered on Antoine, something like that would really work. I'm not saying that Ian Flynn has to do that. I'm just saying that that would be something to me that's a possible candidate to work for an Antoine story. Something that comes back to haunt him and from his past, and he has to come to terms with it, and it has to come to terms with this finally, and he finally decides to go and confront it. So I really think that would be interesting for a Sonic Universe story, something like that along the lines for Antoine's character. Rotor's character is a no-brainer. Have him finally confront his father. Have him finally confront his father once and for all, find out why his father's like this, and what does his father want from him, or what did his father expect from him. Kind of finally have that confrontation. And I think if they do that, it will work. It will really work. And I think you should have Aaliyah Baker do this one, maybe even have Ian Flynn co-write with her. Kind of like make this one of those stories where they co-write together. And to me, I think it would really work, in my opinion, if they did that, because it would be something that not a lot of people would see coming. I think it would be something that a lot of people would enjoy. They would get a kick out of. It's one of those stories that definitely requires two co-writers to do. So I think it would really, really work. But that is a no-brainer for a Rotor story in Sonic Universe, if not a backup story in the Sonic main comic. Have him finally confront his father as to why he's doing this and what he wants from him. And I think that would be a no-brainer right off the bat. Now, as far as other stories go, you got Dulcie coming in, and I think a Sonic Universe story with her is definitely in the works. Should definitely be in the works as to why she's a Gaia Guardian, why she's, where she's at, what's her relationship with Sonic. I think a Dulcie story would be good, and I think even a Loop story would be good. Loop the wolf who came back recently. I think a story on her and her wolf pack would be great. Explore basically, who she is, who her wolf pack is. You know, kind of. I would say a story for Lupe would be to center around her and her pack trying to rebuild after the world's been restored, try to rebuild the home and everything, but always constantly try to avoid the egg bosses, the egg region, and try to at least again kind of focus. And again, this would be a story to me that Aaliyah Baker, and you might notice that I'm saying Aaliyah Baker a lot. I think a story Aaliyah Baker could really, really work on and really do. So to me, I think this would be probably the best, one of those stories she could really do. Sort of a rebuilding story for Loop and her pack after the world's been restored. Kind of focus on a story where they kind of rebuild things, try to get back on their feet, while still trying to fight for freedom and all that. So I think that'd be great. I think that'd be a good story to work on. I think another story, whether it's a side story in the main comic or it's a like I say, whether it's a side story in the main comic or it's a Sonic Universe story, I think it would be great if they did one based with Cassie and Clove. I really think that would be a good one. As a matter of fact, I think. Hold on for a second. But I think honestly that one focused on Cassie and Clove, in my opinion, whether it's a side story in the main comics, a multi-part side story in the main comics, or it's a Sonic Universe story arc, I think would be great. I think it should be a story that takes place after maybe Cassie and Clove leave Eggman, or at least focus on them leaving Eggman and the Eggman Empire and going on the own or going off to try to redeem themselves and become freedom fighters. Maybe I think that would be a good story to focus on. I think I think that'd be good. And again, this is to me, like I mentioned, you might notice I'm saying Aaliyah Baker a lot. I think these are good Aaliyah Baker stories for her to work with. I really do. And that was my dog. I think these are good stories. Go on for a second. Again, like I said, I think this would be good. Like I said, you might notice I'm using Aaliyah, mentioning Aaliyah a lot because she does good character development for stories, and I think this would probably be a side story, a multi-part side story, or even a multi-part Sonic Universe arc with Cassie and Clove would probably be the best story, one of the best stories for her to work on, especially one that would focus on them leaving the Eggman Empire and probably trying to go out on their own and redeem themselves and maybe eventually become freedom fighters. I think I think that would work out really well right there. And then of course you got the Nephthys and her friends. You got the freedom fighters of that desert area recently in face of my enemy or face of the enemy. I think a story arc with them would be good, with a side story, multi-part side story in the main comic, or it's in the Sonic Universe book. I think would be good too, and I think Aaliyah or Ian could do a good job with them. And again, it'd be very similar, but I think it'd be a good kind of like not much of a redeeming arc, but more of a more of an arc based on consciousness. Like Should we basically focus on the characters, thinking, should we really be doing this, or should we really, be doing the right thing and fighting against Eggman, no matter what the consequences are, instead of pretending that we're fighting him and pretending to work with him, shouldn't we, just, do the right thing and just, be freedom fighters overall? So I think these kind of story arcs, to me, could really work, especially for those kind of anti-villain characters, if you catch my drift. But overall, those are just my theories and opinions on characters, that characters, not including those that have already gotten Sonic Universe arcs, but those that have not really got one yet. Those are my opinions and theories on stories that I believe that Ian Flynn and Aaliyah Baker and whoever else could come up with and really work around with these and really work come up with for these characters, to work with these characters. And that's all I have to say on it. So let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with any of the ideas I've come up with? Do you think some of these stories would work? And who do you think should write one of those stories? Who do you think would be the better choice? Do you think Aaliyah, Tracy, or somebody different? Let me know what you guys think down below, and I will talk to you all later. Comments are welcome.